All right, let's jump right in here and talk about just a little bit about the market in general, and then as I mentioned here in the comment or in the title, basically what I think is the main driving factor that will even get you more showings or less showings, and let alone have just a giant impact on your home selling or not selling. And it's kind of controversial. No shocker with me, as I like to come at it and give you the facts based on my experience and our team experience. I don't try to hide it. I don't try to sugarcoat it. I don't lead people on. I don't fluff and bluff and BS. So let's talk a little bit about our market right now. So we're essentially at a little over 6,700 homes for sale. Of those homes, only about like 10% of that is like under 300,000. I didn't look that number up, but it's not much more than that if it is. So affordable homes is just such a small percentage of the actual homes for sale. That's our problem here. That's why our market is slow, is in general, is we have more inventory hit the market, but that inventory hit the market is not, for the most part, affordable for the average person living here in East Tennessee. And so that's why homes are setting. You have the economy, you have interest rates are over 7, trash. So, a $300,000 home, FHA loan is probably about $2,200 a month in a mortgage payment, which is crazy, because that was the mortgage payment of like a $450,000 house back in like 21. So you just think of that, that affordability is crazy. I saw a stat, and it was now, I think it's like 80 of the 300 largest cities. Essentially like a year over year, is prices are going down, which is crazy. Most it's been, who knows, since probably like your, 2010 and 11 and 12. I think there's no prediction of rates dropping anything significantly. There's no prediction of rates going up anything significantly. I think everybody's confused. The Fed does meet in the middle of June, so a little less than a month away. And as we've learned, just because they may lower interest rates, it may not lower the mortgage rate. It actually may impact it in the reverse decision, which is what's happened. When the Fed first lowered the rate, the very first time, what was it, maybe October, November, something like that, I can't remember, it was last year, end of last year, rates were at 6.2, which was really low, lowest they'd been in a long time, and they lowered at half point, and everybody was like, woo, we're going in the 5s, and they jumped up a half point. So crazy stuff there. But, I think overall, sellers, you better, you're not quite in the just have no chance by any means. Again, as I mentioned, there's still some micro situations out there, locations, price points, type of home, updated, price, fair will still move fairly quickly. But days on market is now, well over 40. I think we're probably going to start seeing some reports come out real quickly that days on market is probably going to be, 50 or 60 here very soon. So you're talking 2 months on market, and that's like before an average home, how long homes are setting before they get a contract. So it's a pretty wild number. New construction is at an all-time high as far as active listings and no contracts. I'm a huge fan of new construction, huge fan, which is, again, HOAs, cookie cutter homes. I'm in a Smith Built personally. We bought it 2017. I'm talking D.R. Horton, Smith Built, locally, Ball Homes, Turner, a lot of those. I'm a huge fan of that because they're going to start giving concessions. They already are giving, major discounts, upgrades, money off, closing costs. Given a lot of incentives to bring buyers to the table because they're just sitting on inventory, and so they need to move that inventory, and as well as for any buyers, you move in those homes and knock on wood, right, you don't have any maintenance repairs for 10, 15, 20 years. It's not uncommon for a water heater to work 20 years, not uncommon for an HVAC to work 20 years. Roofs usually always last more than 20 years. And so that's great versus, your open market, you're buying something, HVAC's already 13 years old, roof's 22 years old, water heater's 9, you already got some rot going on the siding on the outside, right? Your driveway's got major cracking, got to re-pour some concrete, there's all kinds of stuff. But new construction is struggling right now, and I think overall, depending on your price point, if you're in Knoxville, between 300 and 500,000, if you're a seller, new construction is your number one enemy, because when we're working with buyers, we're going to compare that, especially if they're open to that HOA situation, and being 30 feet from a neighbor, we're going to let them know, hey, listen, this home's 390. Shoot, 2 miles up the road, we can get you a brand new home, 300 square foot bigger for the same price, and get your closing costs paid. So that's just a little bit about the market overall, and kind of the meat of the video, right? Get into it. The number one thing, and why I say it's controversial, it's because of the rule change in August, right? The rule change in August essentially no longer allows sellers and agents to basically openly market what they're paying a buyer's agent. I have, even us as a team, right? So there's 16 total people. We've not really ran into it very much, probably less than maybe 5 times total, where, the other side was refusing to pay or offering just like such a small amount that, it was going to cost our buyers way more money. That's the thing, is when you as a seller, if you're going to choose not to pay the buyer's agent, just so you know, that is more money the buyer has to bring to the table. And some buyers have the ability to do it, no big deal, right? If it's multiple offers and, all that stuff, sure, you could probably get away with that. If it was market in 2021, sure, get away with it. Not in a slow market. You better, as a seller, be willing to pay that buyer's agent, or they are going to negotiate that repair inspection so hard that they're going to get that back and some, or the deal's going to fall apart. Deal's going to fall apart, you go back on the market, everybody's wondering what happened, go back on the market. Well, they were asking for everything. Well, then now they're going to be, now that buyer's like, freaked out because, the home just fell through due to inspection, right? I don't want to mess with it. Oh, by the way, you're not going to pay it? Well, actually, I like this other home, kind of about the similar, and they're willing to pay my, $10,000 of agent fees that I don't got to bring to the table. So I mentioned my seller, right? So I had a referral come over to me, and went out and met them. Good, super nice people, just did not take my advice on offering a cooperating compensation. They had what they felt is the way they wanted to negotiate the contract, and felt that they shouldn't be paying for someone else's agent. I said, hey, that's fine. All right, I'll work for you. Understand, right? You don't have to. But boy, do I strongly recommend. I just want you to openly know that I strongly recommend. I think this is going to be the biggest impact. So, right now, a lot of agents will call the other agent beforehand and say, hey, are they offering commission? And when I tell them no, they'll say, all right, thanks so much, bye. Or I tell them, well, no, but they said they're open to negotiating. Wait, so they're not offering anything, but they said they want us to negotiate? No, because, hey, Stephen, my buyer's already, we already need closing costs. So there's a lot that plays into this in the negotiations, but I think that is the number one on my listings, right? And I think in total, if we pull it up, we have around 40 listings right now in total, just on between me and my team. And majority of the times, right, these agents are reaching out, hey, are you offering it? When I tell them no, it is immediate click. Also, probably 70% of our entire business that we do, and we've closed, I think, maybe 120 contracts already in 2025, my team, which is a ton. And I would probably say 90% of our buyers, because you probably have the other 10% are all cash, cannot afford and tell us, Stephen, if they're not offering basically to pay your fee, I don't even want to see it. So we have this conversations very transparently with them. And I know the rules, they call for the term steering, and there's all this gray area around that term. I'm not steering nobody. I am helping and doing what's best for my client. That's all I really care about. And ultimately, for a seller, when they come to me and they want me to list their property, I'm going to highly educate them on this. Now, If you've been a seller for me, you know how our fees work. I always say this: we're 50 to 30% cheaper than everybody, and I fully believe we provide the best service possible. We have 4 operations team. We have a slew of full-time agents that will help market your home. Our social media is a big following. I know for a fact we go above and beyond because I work with other agents on a daily basis, so I know what we do and how we do it. Man, when you're not offering that, it's devastating to you in a slow market. Again, I would not be on here in 2021 preaching this, right? Because I have to adjust with the market as an agent, and our market goes through phases, seasonal phases. So we have to adjust seasonally, and then let alone with kind of what's going on a macro level, meaning your yearly and interest rates as a whole, right? So we're always making those adjustments. But I can't really tell you enough on offering that. And here's what I would say: people know what we offer and how we do it. More times than not, right now, buyers agents are coming in and they're asking for even more money. You don't have to pay it as a seller. You don't have to agree. You can always counter that. But when they're asking for that money, that basically means, I gotta park right here. That basically means that they have a buyer's rep agreement, and that buyer's agreed to pay them that money. They can't ask for more money than the buyer's not agreed to pay them, which the buyer agreeing to pay them is AKA you, the seller, paying them. So if they take less, then you're negotiating against the buyer. And ultimately, so the best way to educate sellers, the best way to look at this is, I don't care if I was selling, like I have one flip home and I don't have it under contract yet. It's on the market. I'm actively trying to sell it. I'm actively marketing. I'm actively lowering the price, because I want to get it sold. I'm very motivated. But basically I'm agents are calling me and asking me, I'm like, well, listen, you just let me know what you need. Then if the numbers work, numbers work. And so it's the walk away that counts for me. I don't care to pay an agent 10%. I don't care to pay an agent 50%, as long as the walk away numbers work and that's what, as a seller, it doesn't matter. It's what your money is. Is that acceptable? Is that what you want? Is that what you need? Is that what you have to have? Then don't pay attention to that percentage. I wanted to make this video. Just, again, it's kind of frustrating, because I could tell this seller, again, good, nice people, but I know they're frustrated at me, thinking like, oh my gosh, only 3 showings in like 3 months. And they since we've listed it, they dropped the price $5,000. Now I do think it's not overpriced. If it was overpriced, I would be, telling them, hey, we are overpriced. I do think we are priced at the top dollar, which not much is really selling for top dollar right now. But we're not overpriced. But amount of people that call me and say, Steven, they offer it, and whenever I tell them no, but they wanted me to tell you that they're open to negotiating, they're like, no. There's 6,000 other homes we're going to go look at. It's not like 21 when there's only this is the only home within 5 miles that's actively for sale. Which that was the case, right? So talk to your agent, about what that looks like. If you're thinking about selling, you have questions on that, how that works, I'm happy to explain it to you. It's a thing that, it's so weird in real estate. It's like they want us to be transparent, and about how the fees and stuff works. But that's why you never hear me talk about actually what my commission is and how it actually works, because I will get in trouble. Makes no sense to me. But we're not openly allowed to kind of talk about it. We're not allowed to advertise it. I can't put it on a billboard. I can't post it on social media, what we charge. And again, that probably is a benefit to agents that are out here charging an arm and a leg, and they have all these sales tactics and try to trick you into all these hidden fees and all this stuff. I'm sure that benefits them, which is probably why it's controlled from the top, and those people have huge brokerages and teams, and that's what makes sense to them. That's how they make their money. For me, it's a huge disadvantage that I can't talk about it, because I feel like being open and explaining it, being very transparent, that'd be a huge win for me. So it does annoy me that I can't talk about it. There we go. But anyways, guys, yeah, as always, questions, real estate, insurance, I'm always happy to answer any questions that you have. Have a great day.